If you came across this video, it's very highly likely that you searched for it because you have had an experience with a narcissist. So let's talk about it. Welcome to the channel, and we'll get right into it. This is coming off of the top based on my experience. I want to preface my comments right away by saying this isn't meant to trigger anybody. It isn't meant to be an attack on anyone. I'm going to share with you my experience, but also give you some facts, some things to look for. We're going to talk about the 3 main stages of being in a toxic or narcissistic relationship specifically. I'm going to give you, like I said, some of my experience, but you're going to also notice that I'm going to keep it fairly generic as far as names. Like, I'm not going to get into names because, again, this isn't meant to be an attack. And to be frank, I'm so far removed from the experience and I've healed about it. And it doesn't trigger me at all, and I'm completely comfortable to talk about it, which is why I'm here. But I also believe that it's important to share your information and share your experience, especially if it's going to help somebody else do that. So let's do that. All right. First and foremost, I need you to know that it's not your fault. It's not your fault. If you weren't experienced in this, like, you didn't know exactly what it was that you were dealing with at the time, right? If you weren't raised or if you hadn't had close contact with someone who operates from a narcissistic mindset that way, if you didn't have, a narc sibling or something like that, or hadn't had previous relationship experience, you were not equipped at all. You had no idea what you were dealing with, and that's a part of how you arrive there. Narcissists tend to be hunters, and they understand exactly what it is that they're looking for in people. And there's a reason why we were chosen. And we're going to get into all of that. Depending on the response that this gets, if I need to create a bit of a series on the channel about it, I'll definitely do that. I have no intention on, my lifestyle-based platform becoming, completely focused on narcissism. But again, it's a lifestyle-based channel. So it's about not only, fitness and fashion and style, and, hygiene and diet and exercise, and it's also about mental wellness. That is extremely important. None of those other things really matter if you're not right mentally. And that's how I feel. So if I need to make a series about it in order for this to be effective and to really reach people and help people, I'll definitely do that. And I just want you to know that I'm here for you. So we'll go ahead and begin the conversation. So again, without any past experience or understanding what it was that you were dealing with, you were not at all equipped. You were not at all equipped for what it was that you were dealing with. You had no idea. Like, you were never going to see it coming. All right. There has to be a level of accountability. I'm very big on, taking responsibility, for the part that you had to play in any situation. That is extremely important to me. That is my way of taking my power back, is accepting responsibility for the part that I had to play. Being of a victim mindset is just not effective. Sometimes it can be easy to do that, placing the blame somewhere else. But the fact of the matter is, it's very highly likely that you found yourself in that situation, especially if it was for an extended amount of time, is because you didn't have your boundary set. And I can take responsibility for that. That's exactly how I ended up there. I didn't have my boundaries set in that particular situation the way that I should have. And I was inexperienced with it. I definitely am not naive, and I hadn't lived a sheltered life. But, I think as we, age and as we grow, depending on our upbringing, we're just looking to figure this life out. We're looking to make it make sense for us. And there's a lot of moving parts, right? We're looking to carve out our own identities. We're trying to figure out who we are as people. We're trying to figure out how we want to present to the world comfortably. We're working on our confidence. We're working on, sustainability. We're working on providing. We have to provide, as we come into adulthood. Education. Like, there's so many different things that we're thinking about, our health and, managing relationships in a way that's healthy, right? Balance. So as you're developing your identity and you're figuring out who you are in the world and how you want to present in the world, it's like you kind of get hit with these different things and you don't necessarily know what to call them or what they are. See, in hindsight, once I had an opportunity to really unpack and reflect and take inventory on myself and really assess and address some of my own toxic behaviors, I came to the realization that I had been in a few narcissistic encounters. I just didn't know what it was. You know, you meet people, you interact, you know, whether that be personal, professional, you know, intimate, romantic relationship, whatever. It's like sometimes we just let life happen to us, right? It's like you meet somebody, you click, and everything feels good in the beginning, in the honeymoon phase of a relationship when everything is new. But then as you begin to grow and you know, you go within those different layers of your relationship with that person and there's more depth there, that's where you kind of start to encounter challenges if your communication isn't where it needs to be, if you haven't set a standard that you both intend to meet, if you're not communicating about, you know, what it is that your intentions are, if you're not discussing, you know, how you want to grow, what your plans are, you're not discussing if you want to have children, where you ultimately want to live, livelihoods, education, if you're not interacting with each other's families to see if you're a fit. Like, these are things that make, in my opinion, a relationship potentially healthy and safe as you grow. But if you're kind of just diving right in, you think to yourself, oh, well, we're just not vibing anymore. Like, we're just not a good fit. I don't feel that it's necessarily always that simple. And for me, I came to find out I was dealing with some narcs. I had no idea. Like, I just didn't know what it was. I'm just thinking to myself, oh, they're just not like me. They don't see the world like I do. We don't get along. Our personalities don't match. Like, nah, but it's deeper than that. So with that being said, you weren't going to know. If you haven't experienced it, you weren't going to know. And when I hear the word narcissist or the first thing that comes to my manipulation at its highest level. I'm talking about master manipulation at its finest. Okay, that's based on my experience and what I know to be true. That's what narcissism is based on. All right, manipulation and a lack of empathy and consideration for others. All right, and again, I'm not going to necessarily be able to cover it all in this video. So definitely drop it down in the comment section if you want to see more, if you want to hear more, if you want more insight. I definitely have more insight to give. Again, I'm not like a clinical therapist, a psychoanalyst. I'm not a doctor. I'm speaking to you from my experience. All right. I've lived it, so I know it to be true. Okay. So I'm just sharing with you my experience. But if you want to hear more, definitely, you know, drop it down and, you know, we can delve into it a bit deeper. All right. I want to talk about the 3 stages of a toxic and narcissistic relationship based on my experience. All right. It's the love bomb stage. There's the devaluation phase, and then there's the discard. So that's your trifecta right there. Now, there are many stages that are going to happen in between there. There's different things that you're going to encounter, but those are the 3 main phases: love bomb, devaluation, and the discard. And they all have their place. They're all designed to disarm you. They're designed to program you, and they're designed to keep you mentally off balance, like psychologically off balance. All right, it's about control. Narcissism is about manipulation and control. Those are the main focus. Again, I'm not going to delve too deep into the finer points because I don't want to draw this out. I don't want to make the video too long, but we're definitely going to go a bit deeper. All right. And my experience in the narcissistic encounter that I had, it was like, in this one in particular, is one of the more recent variety. And again, I'm very far removed from it, and I've decompressed from it. So all is well. Life has been extremely kind to me. I'm very well taken care of, and I'm grateful. And I'm here, you know what I mean? And ready to discuss it. The love bomb phase. All right. This is the phase in a narcissistic encounter where it's like they're just giving you undivided attention, affection, and that could come in the form of, time spent, gifts, constantly making contact with you, a lot of texting, FaceTiming, if you're into that, wanting to be in your presence, wanting to be in your energy a lot, looking to appear to be accommodating, looking to appear to want to give you everything that you've ever wanted in a relationship, everything that you've ever had. But while you're experiencing that, and it's almost like being under the influence in a drug in a way, you know, it's very deep, very, very deep. But while you're kind of intoxicated with all this newfound attention, especially if it's been a minute, like since you had been in a relationship or it's been a while, you know, you might have been feeling a little lonely. Like I said, your guards were down. Narcissists are hunters, all right? Make no mistake. And I also want it to be very clear. They're very intentional about the things that they're doing. You may find yourself spending time asking yourself, because do they know what they're doing? Like, is this? And the answer is yes, 100%. Don't ever mess that up. Don't ever mistake that. They know exactly what they're doing, and everything is intentional and everything is by design. Okay? So you being on the receiving end of this, and again, none of us are perfect. I'm not without flaw. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm definitely authentic. I'm definitely empathetic. And I do not thrive on, you know, causing grief or anguish or pain to others. And I understand that people are not to be possessed or to be experienced. We cannot possess people. We can only experience them. And when you love people, you don't want to control them. It's like the antithesis. It's the opposite of what love is. When you love somebody and you value someone, you do not want to restrict them. You are not operating from a fear-based mindset. It's actually quite the opposite. So that's where I'm different. It's not that I'm flawless. It's just I don't view people as objects that are to be controlled by me. I don't view people as a resource for me to tap into. That's not how I operate. I'm about reciprocity and, you know, giving and receiving and going on journeys and exploration and, you know, leaving things and people better than I found them. That's where my heart and where my mind is. That's the God that lives inside of me, right? So I'm moving right along. I'm on the receiving end, right? You're getting a lot of affection, attention that maybe you hadn't had in a while or you're not used to. And like I said, it almost feels like you're under the influence in a sense, and you are. But while all that's happening, you're being watched. You're being watched. They're observing. This is the fact-finding stage of interacting with a narcissist, and they are on the hunt. And it's that real. It's spiritual. It's a spiritual battle that you're entering right now. You just aren't aware of it, and you're not seeing it that way. But that's exactly what it is, and it's heavy. All right? Which is why it was so important for me to jump in front of the camera, and that's why I was so compelled to do this. Because it's real, all right, and it's heavy. So you're being watched. This is the fact-finding stage of the relationship. This is where they're listening to what you say. They're watching your facial expressions. They're watching how you move. They're watching what you find humorous. They're watching what makes you sad. They're looking at you as you watch movies together to see what's jarring to you and what you respond to. And there's little tests and pushes in there that are happening too, to see what your triggers are, to see what makes you tick, right? To see what gets you up, to see what takes your energy. That's what's happening as the love bomb stage is happening, all right? And you got to understand, this is manufactured. In my experience, you know, dealing with a narcissist on a day-to-day, they are energy vampires, all right? I have the ability to generate energy, and I don't need other people around me to do that. It's a gift from God that I have. When I'm sad, I know how to diagnose it, especially at this point now. I'm in alignment with myself, and I'm in alignment with the Most High, so I know what I need to do to charge. I know what I need to do to regenerate my energy. I know that feeling is a symptom, but I have to go into myself to figure out what it is that is causing me to feel that way. That's my mindset in that regard. But I also know I'm going to be okay. I know that I'm loved. I know that I'm valued. I know that I'm cared for, even when I'm not feeling at my best. So I'm going to do what it is that it takes, you know, to be at the top, right? To get back to where I need to be as far as my energy is concerned. Narcissists don't possess the ability to do that, which is why it is important for them to be body collectors, right? And while they have, you know, garages, and they keep people stored up, you know what I mean? They have multiple energy sources that they can tap into at any given time as far as they're concerned. But we'll come to more of that a bit later, right? But it's highly unlikely that you're dealing with a narcissist that doesn't have multiple supply. It's just what it is, and it's levels to it, you know. But again, we'll discuss that and delve into that more at a later time. But if you are, you know, what is on the menu, right? If you are currently at the center of the fuel matrix right now, which essentially means like you're the main source of supply, and then, you know, there's auxiliary supply all around it that they're drawing from. And these can be quote unquote platonic friendships, relationships. It could be people in their family. It could be, but they don't have the ability to generate their own energy and regulate emotion the same way that you or I probably would. And again, there's ends of the spectrum about that. But I don't want to get, you know, lost in that. So during the love bomb phase, they're gathering information about you. They're seeing what you find important. And it's like being in a court of law. Everything you say will be used against you. Their memories are excellent. They remember everything you say. They remember everything that you did. They remember the places that you go, even if they pretend like they don't. They're very observant that way. But it's all for the purpose of manipulation and control. So once, you know, you're kind of done with that love bomb phase, you're going to have to pay a price for that. It's because it's all manufactured. What they're essentially doing is mirroring you in that love bomb phase. That's important for you to know as well. If this is your first, you know what I mean, introduction to like a sincere breakdown of what being in a narcissistic encounter is, they're mirroring you back, which is what keeps you tied into this person. It's what keeps you engaged with them. They're mirroring you back to you as you're going through this initial stage where it feels like, you know, everything feels good and they're saying everything right and doing everything right and they're everything that you thought you ever wanted. And it's like, they're mirroring you. They're giving you back, but they're not going to be able to sustain it. They can't. They don't have the resolve and the intestinal fortitude. They don't possess it. You know, they're very shallow. They're very surface level people. They don't have the ability to go deep. Narcissists tend to be extremely insecure, even though they have a very grandiose personality, very big. It seems like they come into a room, they get this attention. They're performers, manipulators, and controllers. They're performers of the highest order. All right, this is not an exaggeration. All right, they're performers, but they're extremely insecure. And it may make you kind of perk up to hear me say that, because there were certain little situations that you were in where once you're able to come out of it and like be a little bit removed from the experience that you had, you'll see like certain things that you may have done or said would trigger them. Or you'll notice that your happiness or your ability to smile or your loving yourself or being confident in yourself would trigger them. Like it would piss them off, like it would upset them to see you happy, or to see you elevating about something, or to see you go through something bad but still be able to be at peace. Like they don't appreciate that. And they're quite envious of it because they know that they don't have the ability to do that. They don't generate their own energy. They take it from us. They take it from you. They took it from you, right? So once the love bomb phase is pretty much done, because they can't sustain it. Like I said, you may get a couple months. Some you might only get 1 or 2. Some can get 6. But eventually they're going to become drained of that energy, and they're going to get tired of wearing that mask, and they're going to eventually have to take that mask off. It's going to come off. Again, it's all a vicious cycle. And there's people that were in narcissistic relationships, you know, for a couple months, closer to a year or 2. And then there's people who were dealing with this for decades. I'm talking 10, 15, 20 years in marriages, you know, have, you know, raised families and had kids with people who are narcissists. And that experience it's like otherworldly to me. Luckily for me, I wasn't involved for nearly as long. I was there just long enough to see that this was becoming taxing to my energy. It wasn't healthy for either party involved. And at the bare minimum, I saw that I wasn't able to bring out some of the best characteristics about them, and this individual was not able to bring out the best in me, which let me know. And like I said, I tend to have a love for myself and a belief in myself, even when, you know, my guards are down or I'm more vulnerable spiritually. You know, my true essence is gonna come out. It's gonna come out, and that's pretty much what saved me and what brought me out. You know, just my relationship with God and knowing that I have people around me that love me, value me, and care for me. Me caring for myself and understanding that I wasn't feeling like my best. It wasn't a situation that I could stay in. I couldn't stay. It was, you know, it was just very simple. It wasn't about like vengeance, or it wasn't about anger for me. It wasn't about, you know, get back or any of that. I just knew that I had to take responsibility for allowing myself to be in that position, but it was going to have to be me that got me out. Obviously, you know, with the assistance of the Most High, because I definitely give him the glory about that 100%, because the way I was able to finesse that and find my way through, I would have never been able to do it without him. That's fact. That's a fact. So understand that love bombing, they're not going to be able to sustain that, and you're going to end up paying the price for that, because they were performing for you. They were having to perform. They were having to put on fake smiles. They were having to cater to you. They were having to pretend to be interested in things that you were interested in. They were having to, you know, pretend to engage. And to get to their end goal, which is manipulating you or controlling you, they're having to do a lot of things that they don't really believe in, agree with, enjoy, or just flat out want to. So you're going to end up feeling the end result of that, which brings me into the devaluation phase of your connection. In my experience, they're taking your energy from you. They're like siphoning it out slowly and gradually over time. It isn't like huge or big pools that are happening. It's gradual over time, which is why at first you don't notice it. And once you're around this person of darkness and like negativity, and it's like it can take a toll on you. It's natural, especially if you're in close proximity, if you're cohabitating. Like if this is somebody that you were at one point in time extremely close to and you were spending a lot of time with, you're going to start to take on their points of view about things. It's programming. That's exactly what it is. It's conditioning you and programming you. And in the love bomb phase, they very rarely, if at all, said no to you, and they're programming you by design. They're not telling you no, and they're capitulating in like they're agreeing, you know, they're falling in line, but they're making mental notes too as well, and they'll use that against you later. And that's designed also to condition you to never say no to them, even though they're going to begin doing it to you. This is all just a performance, like a play. This is the first act. The love bomb is the first act. All right. So once we move into the devaluation phase, and again, no one's perfect. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you're going to find that like things are going to start to like gradually change, and it's going to catch you off guard. It's almost going to feel like it happened overnight in a sense, right? So you're dealing with this person, and as their energy becomes lower and lower, and their ability to continue to perform for you, and that mask begins to come off, you're going to start to see behind the scenes. You're going to get to see more and more of their true essence and their true intention for you. All right. The honeymoon phase is over now, right? This is where the manipulation starts to come in. Things that in the initial stages of the relationship that you all found to be enjoyable to get, all of a sudden they don't like them. Point of views that you shared together, like agreements that now all of a sudden you're just disagreeing. And it's, again, manipulation is designed to throw you off. All of this is designed to throw you off, cause you to question yourself, to make you, especially if you're a secure and confident person, it's designed to make you insecure, make you feel insecure, make you question yourself, question your beliefs. It's programming and it's conditioning that's happening. Colors they used to like, all of a sudden they don't like them anymore. They used to love the way you dressed. Now it annoys them. If you sang in the shower, it was the cutest, funniest thing, and now it just gets on their nerves. Like, and it's making you feel some type of way because your feelings towards them haven't changed this drastically. Obviously, when you're interacting with people, even when you love them highly and dearly, we get on each other's nerves. Like, I get on people's nerves that I love and that love me. People who I love get on. That's what happens. It's just that you have a tolerance for them because you know that that's not all there are. That you know that those things that they may do to annoy you, or the things that I do to annoy the people that are not all that I am. So you have a tolerance for those people, and their good far exceeds their bad. And it also, like, you consider them quirks, if you will. We all have them, right? But it's like the things that was like the quirky things about you, all of a sudden it's just driving them up a wall. Like, you'll start to feel the pull away. Once they were smothering you, now it's like they don't want to be around you nearly as much. They got every reason in the world to be doing something else. You're gonna start to feel pulls and distances, and it's like it happens gradually over time. They used to love your cooking. Now all of a sudden they don't like the dishes that you make. Like, it's little things like that, I'm not going to get too deep into the physical or the intimacy portion of it, but it's like where we'll say that may have been at a 6, 7, 8, that's coming down to a 2 or 3. Like, that's coming down. That's another way, especially if they know that you are someone who has a high drive. If you're someone who tends to have a high drive, they're going to use that as a tool. They're going to look to use that as a tool. It's mainly just, in hindsight, it's like taking the things that you value the most and belittling those things and minimizing those things in order to manipulate you and control you. So that's what the devaluation phase is all about. And they're performers, and it'll throw you off because it's like, if you go to a family gathering, if you go to a dinner, if you go to a party, if you go to a function together, they're going to perform. They're going to be affectionate. They're going to want to hold your hand. They're going to do things in public that they never do with you in private. And it's going to, again, you're going to spend a lot of time, and a lot of you will attest to this. Drop it down in the comment section if you experienced it. Speak your truth in the comment section. Like, they're doing things in public with you that they're not doing when you two are in private, and it's throwing you off and it's making you question yourself. You're going to spend a lot of time asking yourself questions like, are they, like, is this for real? Are they serious? Like, are they doing this on purpose? Am I over exaggerating? Because you'll want to, like, you won't want to see like the negative in this person, because then you're going to have to be forced to admit that you were duped, or that there was something going on that you didn't see. The red flags may have been going off, but you weren't paying attention. And sometimes that could be hard to accept, and I get that. Again, this isn't about division or about judgment or any about, this is about healing. And this is about identifying a negative, dark, or toxic situation that you're in that you need to, find your way out of. That's what it's about. Or you've already begun that process, but now you're looking for more clarity and understanding on narcissism, exactly what it is, its base, and how it is that you got there. So if that's the stage that you're at, salute to you, for seeking out information and for being able to identify that something isn't right. But you're also ready to hold yourself accountable for the part that you had to play. And it's very highly likely, again, as I stated before, your boundaries were probably very low. You weren't holding them to a standard. You were making allowances for them. You were giving them passes on things that probably should have been deal breakers. But at the same time, I will say, based on my experience, they're very good at like breadcrumbing you and keeping you wanting more and keeping you off balance and basically just selling you dreams that even they don't believe in. It's all manipulation. And it's like internally, they're like laughing inside. Like, they know they enter into these encounters with people looking to get supply, looking to get control, but also understanding that it's very highly likely that it's not going to last. They don't enter into these encounters with people looking to sustain them. They're not looking to build with you or grow with you. That's not the purpose of this exercise for them. It's to use you and suck you dry of your energy and your resources, and use your lack of boundaries and your desire to be loved against you. You got to protect yourself at all times like a fight. So the devaluation phase. This is happening, they're tugging at you, they're pulling at you, depending on the level of this narcissistic relationship and where you are with this person. They're creating distance, separation and divides between you and your support systems and networks, your family members and friends and people that love you. They're separating you from things that you get joy in. You know, they're tugging on your heartstrings. They're playing on your insecurities. They're planting seeds of doubt and negativity in your mind. These are all designed, again, for manipulation and control. So that's what they're doing. And now you're kind of, you're hobbled in a sense, like you're off balance. You're not at your highest self. Again, in relationships, people are here to make us happy. It's up to us to do that as individuals. That is our own individual duty and responsibility, to find our own peace, joy, and happiness, which in my opinion and in my experience in life, peace and joy are gifts from God. Happiness is fleeting. It kind of comes and goes. It's of the earth. It's of this world. All right. But joy and peace is something that comes from your relationship with God, and knowing that even when things are getting crazy around you, you're going to come out fine. It's about the journey. It's about the journey, and there will be highs and lows. It's a part of life. Right? And being in a relationship or a connection with somebody is supposed to add to your levels of happiness. It's supposed to add to your, it's supposed to enrich you. And it's not to say that it's perfect every day and that it's happy all the time, because that's not true either. You know, when we enter into encounters and relationships with people, we go on a journey with them, and we all come with our own past traumas and experiences and, you know, darknesses, and, you know, people fight demons sometimes. But your experiences don't necessarily have to shape your future in a way that's negative. You know, you can use the things that you go through for better or worse as much as you can to take from it the lessons that you can get, leave the rest, and then move on and kind of, you know, just be light and make sure that you're loving on yourself and you're giving yourself positive affirmation and positive self-talk. And that devaluation phase, it takes that away from you. So if you're in an encounter or in a situation that's not enriching you, you come to a place where you find that it's just not healthy. And again, it's not sustainable for you to be in. And there's no specific time limits on these phases, you know, the love bomb, the devaluation, and then the discard. There's no specific time frames. It's different for all of us. Sometimes, and most times, I'll say those time frames are based on you and your ability to tolerate. If you're an extremely tolerant person, they'll drag it out because they come into these encounters not expecting them to last, but at the same time, they want them to. And they shelf you. That's what they do. Narcissists are never really done all the way. In fact, it's been my experience and experience of people that I know that have experienced it in research that I've done and my healing process. They're never done with you. Like, once you've encountered a narcissist and been in their closest, they've been like, they feel like they own you. People are resources to them. People are appliances. Like how I don't think about the air fryer until I'm about to use it, or how I really don't necessarily care about the washer and dryer until I have laundry. It's kind of the same thing. Narcissists don't think and move and operate and see things the way that the average person would. And that's one of the main things that you need to understand. That's one of the main things that's going to allow you to heal about this. They don't operate the way that you would. They don't think. They don't love. They don't gift. They don't share. They lack the ability to go deeper. They don't move and operate the way that you might. They don't love they do feel feelings, but they don't feel feelings the way that you would. It's different for them. Somewhere along the line in their lives, they experience some sort of trauma, and they never developed emotionally. Narcissism as a disorder in itself, based on my research, is essentially like being emotionally stunted. You know, their emotional car is on the road, but it's in park. Like they haven't moved. They haven't grown at all. So that's really what it is. So they don't have the level like that you have. They can't go to the emotional depths that you can. That's just not who they are. They don't have a desire to. They don't feel safe in those places. They don't find benefit in those places. And they look at, you know, your ability to empathize Like, for example, I'm the type of person, if I'm watching a movie and I'm really into it, I could cry. And it's not because I'm sad at all. I could be very happy in my own life. But it's like I can connect and feel so much what I'm experiencing on screen that it may make me misty-eyed. If you ever been through that, that's like a prime example. People get misty in movies. I can listen to a song and just really, if I've never experienced that particular topic or subject, I can connect to it as if I was there. I empathize at a high level. Narcissism, like, is a lack of that. That's what being a narcissist, they don't empathize. They don't have consideration. They're not at all connected to how you're affected by the things that you go through. Like, they don't care about that at all. Like, people are resources and people are appliances. People are tools that they can pull out and put back. It's like a light switch. They flick you on and flick you off. They flick you on and flick you off. That's how they look at you. That's just surface. That's as far as they can go. That's as far as they can go. Intimacy in the beginning may seem like it's intense and it's deep, but they're just mirroring you back. They're not going to have the ability to keep that up because they don't have a desire to be in that place. You have to be vulnerable with somebody to be able to go to depths with them, and they just don't have the power to be able to do that. That's not what they are. That's not what they do. So that's just something for you to be aware of as well. So we've discussed the devaluation stage, right? We've kind of delved into it, what you can expect. And again, for the sake of, helping others and sharing information, drop comments down in the comment section, hit like so that this will circulate. And so it'll find other people, who need this word and like who need fellowship, and they, may be feeling alone, or they're in an experience and they don't know what to call it. They don't know what it is, so let's share this information and get it out for others to be able to benefit from so that they can continue on in their healing journey as well. Right. So we're going to get into the discard phase, right? As we've established, narcissists are never done with you. You have to put together a elite exit strategy to just be done with them. But they can be obsessive. Not all narcissists stalk, but some do. They aren't concerned with protective orders. They ain't worried, like, and the depths and the lows that they will go to. Like, you would have never expected that someone that you thought that you were close to or that you had a connection with would do some of the things that they do, say some of the things that they'll say, behave the way that they. It's just, it's manipulation. It's deep. That's the best way I could put. Like, it's an experience for sure. And I'm not looking to minimize that for any way for people who are dealing with it and who are like kind of in the midst of that right now and looking to educate themselves and find their way out of that. I'm not, minimizing that at all. Like I said, I've been through it, so I understand where it is that you're coming from, and I can connect with you in that regard, right? They shelf us, I can say in my personal experience with my narc, it was many discards all throughout the connection. It was many discards and little mini manufactured sabotages and breakups, meant to throw you off, meant to test you, meant to see. This is one of the ways they like figure out what they really mean to you. Like, are you really willing to like walk away? Do I really have what it takes to continue like throwing this person away and then finding my way? Like, they get a sense of supply from that. They get a sense of supply from seeing you cry. They get a sense of supply from seeing you unhappy. They get a sense of supply from seeing you angry or upset. And they get a huge boost by being able to toss you away like nothing and then find their way right back into your life somehow. Whether that was because they deliberately leave belongings at your house, or you might have had some type of business arrangement in common, or you had a financial endeavor. If you have children with this person, which I may have to cover that, in another video. Fortunately for me, that wasn't a situation that I had to deal with, but I've done a lot of research on it and have an insight into, the levels that you'll have to, continue to engage with this person if you have things in common, and how they use those things against you, and to stay connected to you, and to find their way back into your life, right? But typically at the discard, they're shelving you, all right? They have every intention on coming back at their leisure and when they get good and ready, if you allow them to do that. And it's a cycle. That love bomb, devaluation, and discard phase, those are those cycles that will continue throughout your encounter with them, your relationship with them, until it ends. However it is that you end, hopefully it's because you find the strength and resolve within yourself to end it, and you have a support system, and you're able to make your exit and find your way out of their lives. Again, fortunately for me, there was no home ownership. There were no like major contracts or businesses or children. So I was able to find my way out and stay out. Like, I'm the type of person, once I get my mindset on something, once I have an understanding about something that I'm going to do or not do, then that's what it is, especially if it's for my growth and it's for my good and for my overall wellness. That's just what it is. So once I came to the conclusion that I was done and I knew it was time for me to make my exit, I lived in that. And it's important that when someone plays on your presence, plays on your love for them, plays on your energy, you make them stand on that. It is your duty, it is your responsibility to make them stand on that decision, to make them live with it. When you excuse their behaviors to a narcissist, you're essentially communicating to them that what they did was okay. That's how they see it. It's like, even if they ever have a notion or inclination that they did you wrong, when you take them back, it erases it like it never happened. That's how they operate. That's how their minds work. So when they do that discard and you come back, that love bomb it's not going to be there. And even if it is, it's going to be very brief. They're not going to be able to sustain it, and the punishments get worse. Like, their treatment of you, they're losing respect for you. When you're dealing with a narcissist, the only way that they'll ever respect you is when you leave and you stay gone. That's the only time they value you the most and respect you the most, once you leave and never come back. It's twisted. It's twisted, but that's factually correct. The most respect that a narcissist will ever have for you, the most value that they'll ever see in you, and they'll want you the most, and just have adoration for you when you leave and you stay gone. That's the only pedestal you're ever going to get with them. And that's where they begin to punish the new supply, which, again, depending on the response, I may have to cover that, in another video. But your ability to leave and stay gone creates strife for whoever the current and next supply is, especially if you were like the main if you were the main supply in the center of that fuel matrix. If you leave, it's going to have an adverse effect on them and any and everybody else that's involved with them. But you shouldn't even be around to see that, and you certainly shouldn't be, on their social media at all. No contact is for their destruction. Like, it is the main weapon. And when I say no contact, I mean radio silence. No emailing, no text, especially, again, if it's not absolutely necessary. Radio silence, because any contact, any attention to a narcissist is good attention. Any attention. It's like dealing with a small child, that kicks and screams when they don't get what they want. Any attention is good attention. So it's kind of like that. So that's one of the main tools that you'll have in escaping a narcissistic connection or relationship is no contact. And I'm not talking about like relaying messages through other people. Like I said, side chatting and DMing and none of that. Words with none of that. No games, no interaction. Okay? Nothing. No playing PS5 online, nothing. No interaction with these people. Social media, none of that. It's out. you're hitting the discard phase. All right. They're discarding you with the intention of being able to come back. They're discarding you with the intention of being able to shelf you. That's what I mean by garages. You know, they're body collectors. You're not the only one. And this isn't their go round. This isn't their first round. They're professionals. They're pros at what they do. Manipulation, control, programming, and performing. They're masterful at it. All right? Masterful. You're not the first and you won't be the last. But the idea is, you know, they're bored. Their attention span, too, that's another thing. Their attention span is very, very short. Like, they don't have the depth to be able to continue to fall in love with you day after day and see beauty in you, even with your flaws, and to like see greatness in you and find things about you that they didn't know that interest them. And they don't have that ability. They're very surface and shallow individuals. All right. So they get bored with you for whatever reason. Your supply isn't what it once was. Now that they've disarmed you, you know, they've been devaluing you. The love bomb is like way over. You're not pouring into them the way that you once were, because you're spending all your time trying to figure out what this is and how did you get here. So in the midst of that, you're not loving on them. Like, you're not doting on them. You're not uplifting them. You're not complimenting them. And again, that's a huge source of supply for them, because they're insecure people. They constantly need to be, you know, reaffirmed. And that's draining on the energy too. That's why in relationships, it's important that each party, you know, loves themselves and has their own individual self and identity and their own confidence and their own spiritual relationships and networks. Because it's like, it's draining to have to constantly lift somebody up all day and prop somebody up all day. Like, you know what I mean? Because, you know, as people, sometimes our own energy gets low. We don't always have it to give. Sometimes we need it from the people that we love. So you're not in a position to do that anymore. And usually when the discard is happening, they already got a new supply. I'm not saying that to trigger anyone. I'm not looking to hurt anyone. Again, depending on where you are in your connection, you know, in your narcissistic experience, you may or may not be aware of that, but there's always someone in the background. Always. There's always someone in the background. Understand that and don't mistake that. Use that, you know, as motivation to remove yourself from the situation. But when the devaluation stage is happening, they're looking to shelf you because they have a new toy to play with. They're entertaining something or someone else. It could be multiple people. If you pay attention, you know, narcissists tend to be secretive with their phones. A lot of times they'll have more than one phone. You know, they're big on social media. They have multiple social media profiles. You may not necessarily know that, but again, they're good at wearing masks and they're good at performing. But they're always in constant communication with other sources of supply. And again, you know, depending on, you know, how they operate as narcissists, they get supply from not just, you know, romantic interest, but it can come from coworkers. You know, they could be engaging in a whole, you know, a full-on relationship with someone that they work with, and you have no knowledge of that. Like, you don't know it at all. They could be engaging in a long-distance relationship. If they're military personnel, for example, it's very highly likely, you know, if someone's TDY, if someone's on duty station somewhere, like, they have this uncanny ability to like maintain like multiple relationships, you know, like all over the place. And they're, you know, doing their best to be what it is they need to be to these different people, you know, to keep them engaged just enough to continue to manipulate them and use them. Some narcissists manipulate, use, you know, control and program for money. Some do it for status. Some do it for appearances. Some do it for like position. You know, it's different reasons why, you know, they do what they do. And I don't operate that way. So I can't say exactly what the reason is, but I do know that they don't have the ability to like generate their own energy. So they need that from other people. So when they're devaluing you, they're looking to put you on the shelf, and they're doing that in hopes that they'll be able to come back whenever they getting ready. Rest assured that there is someone else that they're entertaining. I don't want to hurt anybody with that information, but it's important that you know that, and you may already know that as the truth, you know. Being in a narcissistic relationship can be extremely dangerous because you don't know the other spirits and the other energies that they're bringing into your situation, especially like if you're cohabitating. If they're playing games and manipulating other people, like that can bring harm to you personally. It can bring harm to your home. So be aware of that. If you have children with someone who's, manipulating and programming and playing games with other people, like, not everyone takes that well. Not everyone can handle that. So emotionally, people can come unglued and do things that they never found themselves capable of. So you got to take that in consideration too. Again, from a romantic or a intimacy perspective, they're inviting things into your intimate relationship that you hadn't anticipated. That's something that you need to be aware of. All right. It's important that you're not putting all of your trust into someone else to the degree that you're turning a blind eye and putting yourself in harm's way. So be aware of that as well. If you know that you're in a situation that is toxic and that is unhealthy for you, evaluate that, begin to strategize and put it together. I know for some it's not easy to just up and leave. I understand that completely. That's not lost on me. It's not easy for everyone to just be able to get up and go. Not everyone may have the funds or the resources or the support system or family. You may have up and relocated to another city or state to be with the person that you thought that you were in a relationship with that, would last. And then you find that that's not true and you have to make your exit. But whatever it is that you need to do, it's important that you find your way out. And it's important that you find, support. Don't suffer in silence about it. Reach out to someone that you care about and that cares about you, that you can trust. Be careful who you share your business with, which I'm big on that just in general in my life. But everyone, should have a loved one or a confidant that they can reach out to for help if they need it, regardless of your status or where you are in your life. We all need help sometimes. All right. We all need that. So don't suffer in silence. If you are in a situation where you were discarded, turn it on its face and learn to look at it for the blessing that it is. Because if they're being preoccupied with a new supply or something or someone else, that's your opportunity to make your exit and to stay gone. That is not time for you to be fighting to get them back or to be fighting to find your way back. There is no closure. Closure comes from within. That's another good point that I want to make. They're deliberately leaving you with unanswered questions as a way of putting you on the shelf so they can come back and grab you later. All right. There is no closure, comes from within. Let their treatment of you be the closure. Let the heartache that you're experiencing and the sadness and the darkness be your closure. Furthermore, even if you did have the opportunity to ask them questions, you aren't going to be able to trust what they tell you anyway. Like they're not operating in truth. So that's not something that you're ever going to get from them anyway. Don't look for confirmation or for truth or for closure from them. Closure comes from within. The closure is in the treatment. The closure is in the way that you're feeling right now and the fact that you can't find peace and you can't find joy. So allow that to be your closure. And if you have been discarded, look at it as a blessing in disguise. On earth and in the world, rejection looks like, it hurts, but really in the spiritual realm, rejection is protection and it's a form of redirection for us. So train your mind to look at it that way so that you can find a way to make your exit. And then once you're able to do that, make them stand on that decision. Make them live with that decision. Don't let someone treat you like a light switch that they can turn on and turn off at their leisure. Let them, be someone else's concern now. And then you can begin your healing journey. And obviously, I would not recommend just rushing into another situation when you're vulnerable and, you've kind of gone through something that was traumatic. Spend this time, have a season of selfishness where you're pouring back into yourself. You're loving on yourself. You are, communicating, with your support system and using the people around you that love you and care for you in order to heal. In my experience, I actually had to initiate the discard. Now, the thing about it is you have to be a strategist and an analyst, and you have to take your feelings out of it and apply the logic. And what I came to understand was I was going to have to do that in a way that would make them feel like it was them, but really it was me. And I was okay with that. I'm the type of person, when I'm ready to be done, you can have the narrative. I don't care what you think of it. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, you're not a focal point. You're not of any significance. And any people that we knew mutually, like, I don't care what, you can tell them whatever you want to tell them. I don't care about them. I just want to leave like intact with myself. I can build everything else back. Like, I'm not worried about material possessions too much. Like, but in order to hurt you and disarm you, like a narcissist, depending on the levels and the lengths that they're willing to go, they'll do things to want to affect the positive relationships in your life. They'll do things to try to get you fired or to smear your name. Like, they're going to smear your name. Expect that too. They call it the smear campaign. They're going to smear your name. And in a lot of narcissistic relationships and toxic relationships, they're doing that all while you're still dealing with each other. You don't know that. So you may even ask yourself this. There may have been a situation where you thought everything was all good, but then you went to a function or you went to someone's house and people were treating you funny. Like, you felt an energy that you couldn't pinpoint. Like, you couldn't put your finger on it. They've been smearing you. They're smearing your name so that they can play the victim later. Because again, they don't enter these relationships. Narcissists don't enter a relationship expecting it to last. They want it to last as long as like it's serving them and they can use you. But they're not looking to go to lengths with you. They're not looking to build. There's breakers and there's makers and there's givers and there's takers. Like, you have to ask yourself, is this person a breaker or a maker? Is this person a giver or a taker? It seems like a little thing, but you have to ask yourself that. Are their actions consistent with their words? Because that's harmony. If what a person says lines up with what they do, that's harmony. But if you're not finding harmony in their actions and in their words, then they're probably a taker and a breaker. So just try to simplify it for yourself in that way. You have to be in a place where you're ready to be honest and be real. And also, again, accept responsibility for the part that you had to play. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, man, feel free to drop that down in the comment section. If you want to speak to me, if you want to go a little deeper, offline, if you have questions for me, send an email to asbizlifestyle@gmail.com. No judgment. You can maintain your anonymity. You may just have a question that you have to ask that you hadn't been able to get an answer to, and you don't necessarily have anybody in your life, a friend or family member who has experienced this to be able to like guide you. If you want to write me, feel free to write me, asbizlifestyle@gmail.com. I'll put it up on the screen somewhere. You can DM me, you can hit me up on Instagram. I'll put my Instagram on the screen. Worthy1212, all lowercase, worthy XII, worthy XII. 2 times, XIIXII on Instagram, worthy1212. I'll throw it up in the screen. Check the about page, man. All the links to my socials are there. And if you all want to, if you want to continue this, if you want me to delve a little deeper into my experience and my knowledge as far as narcissism and how they operate and how they think and why they do the things that they do, how it was that we found ourselves there, how we can begin our healing journey, what is it going to take? What do we need to look for? What are some characteristics that you can try to look for in people that you just met? And first and foremost, like, just loving yourself enough that if you identify certain traits early on, you can go ahead and walk away before you're, committed and way too engaged or invested. If you want to have those conversations, if you want me to delve a little deeper, if you would like me to create a series about this, I can do that for the channel. And I appreciate you spending time with me. I'm grateful, as always, and I appreciate you. And I just want you to know that you're worthy and that you're loved. All right. And that, there is meaning and validity in your feelings. All right. Until we meet again. All right. I'm out.